It is September 25th, 2016, as I am assisting a family friend, as well as a relative of a now elderly couple, who had asked that their artworks of mine that they had bought back around 1982-83 be donated. I'm assisting the relative and the family friend in finding public homes for each of the works, including this framed proof of my 1981 etching, Martin Buber. I thought I would show followers of my work the two articles that were published years ago now that included reproductions of Buber. This was in the Seattle Weekly in March 11, 1981. And this was in Contrast magazine, volume 1, number 3, published in Kansas City, Missouri. I think that was in 1982. There's Buber here. There's the Eliezer ben Yehuda and ahort early Zionist etching, a proof of which the couple had also bought. And I will be announcing after it's finalized which institution that proof that they had owned will be going to. The publication was published by Robert McConnell and Charles Reynolds. And again, I think that was in 1982. Actually, I'll start with that article here. I haven't read it in years, so curious to see what I believe it was written by Mr. Reynolds, see what he had to say. Ken Segan was born in New York City in 1950. Currently residing in Seattle, he moved to the Midwest in 1972, received his BA in art from Southern Illinois University and his MFA from the University of Missouri at Columbia. His work consists of two interrelated approaches: etching and intaglio prints executed in a strong graphic and printerly manner, and mixed media works on paper combining variations of etchings, block prints, watercolor, pen and ink, and colored pencil. His imagery is derived from an interest in cityscapes, concerns of a social and political nature, the Judaic experience, and interpretations of dream iconography. My gosh, I don't even remember all of that myself. It's good to have a refresher here about my early art career days. Martin Buber. I used and consequently interpreted a photograph of Buber taken when he was in advanced age, possibly late 60s. I have to interject, now that I'm 66, I'm going to chuckle. I can snort also. I sought to portray the sensitivity and, quote, mystical vision, unquote, of this man who is the greatest theologian in Jewish culture of the 20th century, who has had also a strong influence on Christian theology. Reading Buber's I and Thou formed the interest on my part in depicting this influential figure. And since we have the reproduction of the early Zionist etching here, I'll continue with the looks like the second half of the article here. Eliezer ben Yehuda and ahort early Zionists. I also used photographs to capture the basic image in this combination print. Picking two relatively obscure historical figures from the history of Zionism in the early part of the 20th century intrigued me, unless one is very familiar with contemporary Jewish history. Both of these people were reared in Eastern Europe and had a profound historical effect on what was to become the State of Israel. One was a cultural Zionist, the other a literary Zionist, highly influential in making and revitalizing Hebrew as the national language of the Jews of Palestine. The figures emerge from a predominantly black background, familiar as if they are emerging from the past, perhaps striking at my roots in Eastern Europe, from where my grandparents came in the shtetls, Jewish villages of Poland, Ukraine, and Russia, and where my ancestors before them lived. The time period of the late 19th century through the early 20th century was one of tremendous social upheaval and change in that world of the past forever vanished. Portraying these two figures brings me closer to that past from which I am derived and provides a link for me to modern-day Judaism in Israel. And as we're approaching 5 minutes here, I'm going to read the Seattle Weekly article in a separate video. There you have it.